Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. Drone footage from the Ukrainian National Guard's 4th Brigade, 3rd Battalion shows 2 Russian soldiers surrendering after a series of FPV strikes. Inside a car near Kursk, 2 Ukrainians spot a stalking FPV closing fast. The passenger raises bullpup shotgun, then knocks the drone out of the air, and it explodes a few feet ahead of the car. An 80th Separate Air Assault improvised bomb drone hits a Russian trench. The blast is far bigger than expected, likely a secondary detonation from poorly stored ammunition. A GoPro recording from Avdiivka captures a Ukrainian patrol after a close encounter. Several captured men are lying on the ground. One of them is no longer alive. The soldiers maintain composure as they question the survivors. One theme in their exchange repeats again and again: grenades. This is real footage. No effects. Just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. Footage shows Ukraine's Cord operating in Toretsk. The reel cycles through drone employment, close quarters work, movement under fire, and street patrols around Toretsk. The video also underlines the heavy damage across the area as operations continue. We see Cord conducting drone operations, CQB taking fire and patrolling around Toretsk. The destruction across the region is extensive and visible in frame after frame. A Ukrainian drone team tracks a Russian soldier riding a motorbike at speed. It is unclear whether the rider knows he is being pursued, yet his pace suggests awareness of a persistent threat overhead. The bomb drone closes the distance without trouble and holds to its path as the target continues forward. It closes the gap and detonates in one clean hit, ending the chase. Russian armored assaults around Avdiivka take repeated hits in this drone footage. Multiple loitering munitions engage vehicles as attacks form and push ahead, and several targets are struck in view. Each blast interrupts movement and turns the ground into a lane of obstacles, slowing any follow-on force. The result is disrupted assaults against the city and equipment losses visible from overhead. Video from the Ukrainian 414th Unmanned Systems Brigade, known as the Birds of Magyar, follows a team called Wormbusters as they drive an FPV munition into a Russian BTR-82. After the hit, the BTR's autocannon begins firing continuously downrange, dumping ammunition with no target in view. The footage frames the strike and the uncontrolled fire as one sequence, the gun cycling until the feed is exhausted. The likely cause, according to the source, is an electrically fired system short-circuited by the drone's explosion. A Russian BMP-2 is first immobilized by an earlier strike and then abandoned by its crew. A Ukrainian FPV drone is called in to finish the job, circling the vehicle to identify the best point of entry. The operator chooses the open rear hatch of the troop compartment and flies the munition straight inside. The detonation starts a fire that grows within the hull and continues to flare as onboard fuel and ammunition ignite in turn. Flames pulse from the vehicle while the camera holds steady on the result. The sequence ends with the BMP burning. Ukrainian Bradleys in action, likely from the 47th Mechanized Brigade. The lead vehicle takes hits, with sources noting RPG strikes and an FPV drone. Smoke pours from the wounded IFV as a higher-angle view shows fires along the tree line. A second Bradley drives in fast, holds position over its damaged partner, and hammers unseen targets with the Bushmaster chain gun. The ramp drops and crewmen from the first vehicle rush into the rescue Bradley. During the pullout, the rescuing Bradley appears to absorb an RPG. Yet it keeps firing. With survivors aboard, the Bradley exits, trailing smoke and dodging incoming artillery shells. Footage from the Phoenix unit of the Ukrainian Pomsta Brigade shows Russian vehicles of various types being struck by drone attacks. The clips string together multiple hits, with explosions damaging or destroying targets in view. The source describes heavy losses of equipment and life among the Russian ranks. Vehicles burn, stop, or sit smoking after impact as the camera holds on the results. Drone footage from operators in the Ukrainian National Guard's 4th Brigade, 3rd Battalion shows 2 Russian soldiers surrendering after a series of FPV strikes on their position. The sequence begins with strikes landing on the area, then shifts to the pair giving up under the drone's eye. The surrender is directed at the operators controlling the aircraft, who have demonstrated control over the position from above. Footage from the Ukrainian 60th Separate Mechanized Inhulets Brigade captures FPV attacks against Russian troops. At one point, a squad is caught in the open and takes multiple hits from bomb drones. The camera follows the runs and the explosions, showing exposed soldiers trying to move across ground with little cover. Many soldiers are left brutally wounded by the strikes. A Russian military truck is struck by an explosive-fitted loitering munition, and its fuel reservoir ignites. The crew keeps driving through what they likely consider a kill zone, leaving a strip of burning fuel behind the vehicle. Fire grows along the roadway and around the truck as it speeds onward. Eventually, the vehicle is fully engulfed and the crew bails out. At least 3 soldiers can be seen exiting. One appears badly injured and is carried away from the burning wreck. The incident is reported to have occurred near Krinky, on the left bank of Kherson. GoPro footage from the Ukrainian armed forces captures an ambush against a Russian sabotage unit operating behind Ukrainian lines near Zaporizhzhia. A reconnaissance drone first exposes the group as it moves, turning concealment into a clear target. Ukrainian troops deploy with 3 armored vehicles and push straight at the compromised element. The opening fire pins the Russians in place, and the vehicles add steady bursts to keep them fixed. The contact ends quickly under combined fire from the assault team and the supporting platforms. Footage from Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade shows a layered strike on Russian infantry in a wooded area. 155mm DPICM shells burst overhead and on the ground, scattering submunitions across the trees. As the men drop and try to hug the earth, a Bradley IFV adds 25mm bursts from its Bushmaster and lines of tracers from a coaxial machine gun. FPV drones then work through the area, driving in on isolated soldiers. The combined pressure collapses the attack and leaves the position untenable. Dash-style footage from an undisclosed Ukrainian unit shows 2 soldiers riding in a car near Kursk when a Russian FPV drone appears. Both men bail out as the aircraft closes, turning the roadway into a short, tense standoff. The passenger shoulders a semi-automatic bullpup shotgun of the type commonly produced in Turkey and fires. The shot connects, knocking the drone from the air. It detonates a few feet ahead of the vehicle, throwing fragments and debris across the road surface. A Russian armored push starts fast, and then stalls under accurate Ukrainian indirect fire. Artillery and mortar rounds track the vehicles as they try to force a lane, and several hits land cleanly. Smoke and flame mark damaged hulls, while the rest of the formation slows and then turns. Troops begin dismounting and running on foot back toward their lines, leaving machines exposed along the approach. Cell phone video from Russian sources shows two men attacking a Ukrainian position with a modified TM-62 anti-tank mine. One firer lays down suppressive rocket fire while the second sprints across open ground toward a defensive line. At the doorway, he primes a time fuse on the mine and throws it into the opening, then turns and runs at full speed from the blast zone. There is a notable delay before detonation. That pause gives the thrower time to clear the area and, if the defenders see it coming, a window to get into hard cover. Compilation footage released by Russia's Pseudo-Platov drone unit shows a series of FPV hits on Ukrainian positions and armor across multiple areas. The clips were filmed over a long period and at different locations, so exact times and places are unclear. Each segment follows the same rhythm: the approach, the strike, and the aftermath on vehicles, trenches, and strong points. Footage from Ukraine's 110th Mechanized Brigade shows kamikaze drone strikes against Russian tanks south of Avdiivka. Several vehicles are targeted in view. One hit triggers a massive secondary explosion as fuel and ammunition ignite together. Soldiers can be seen running from the vehicles. The camera holds on the plume and the burning hull as the cook-off continues. The rest of the sequence shows more impacts and vehicles left disabled or destroyed along the approaches. A Ukrainian bomb drone attacks a Russian trench, and the blast is far larger than expected. The likely cause is a secondary detonation after poorly stored ammunition ignites in the position. The attack was carried out by the Ukrainian 80th Separate Air Assault Brigade. The camera records the run-in, the explosion, and the debris cloud over the trench line. The scene ends on a shaken position and smoke hanging over the area. A Russian soldier is hunted while a camera drone watches from above and an FPV loitering munition moves below. He folds his hands in prayer and asks for mercy, then circles a tree in an effort to break the attack. The racing drone adjusts, dives, and explodes. He's left on the ground with apparent fragmentation wounds and can no longer move. He leans against the trunk, finished, while the view holds steady from above. GoPro footage from members of the 47th Brigade shows a direct assault near Avdiivka. The team moves on Russian positions and treats each dugout as occupied, throwing fragmentation grenades into covered spaces before entering. The video does not show whether the positions are abandoned, but the assault does not pause to confirm. The camera follows the advance between fighting positions and quick throws into trenches and shelter points. Footage from the Ukrainian Presidential Brigade shows a strike compilation targeting Russian frontline infantry. The video combines FPV kamikaze drones and drone-dropped munitions, with each approach, impact, and aftermath shown in sequence. Several engagements end with Russian troops eliminated where they stand or fall. In one segment, a wounded Russian soldier pulls the pin on a grenade and detonates it, choosing an immediate end. Graphic footage shows a file of Russian dismounts engaged by a Ukrainian FPV loitering munition. The drone hovers close and adjusts for a final run. One soldier lies on his back to steady his aim and fire upward at the threat. The aircraft is too quick and swings in at low level. It detonates at the soldier's position, ripping his legs from his torso. One man had been hiding behind a tree. After the first hit, he runs from cover, and later, more soldiers can be seen running from the area. In a hamlet near Avdiivka, a Russian assault squad reaches its culminating point early. A BTR arrives with infantry packed beneath a coke cage, and they dismount into thin cover by trees and a fence. The troops cluster in two groups without advancing or taking a clear formation. The BTR turns to leave and is struck by FPV drones, left a smoking ruin. A Ukrainian Bradley IFV appears on the flank and delivers enfilade fire with its M242 Bushmaster and coaxial machine gun, ripping the squad apart. A GoPro recording from Avdiivka captures a Ukrainian patrol after a close encounter. Several captured men are lying on the ground. One of them is no longer alive. The soldiers maintain composure as they question the survivors. One theme in their exchange repeats again and again: grenades.
Там четвертый. Блядь, пиздец. Слушай меня. Слушай, я задаю вопрос, от тебя только, сука, ответ. Понял? Ползи на броню.
Footage from the Ukrainian 47th Artillery Brigade shows multiple FPV strikes against Russian infantry. The video cuts from target to target as drones close in and detonate on men moving or taking cover. Each pass ends in a blast, and the camera holds long enough to show the effect before switching angles. Several soldiers are hit in the open as others try to move between positions. The compilation ends after the final detonation. Helmet cam footage from the Ukrainian Azov Regiment's 12th Special Forces Brigade shows teams clearing Russian-held basements near Avdiivka on the Toretsk front. The soldiers move methodically along narrow corridors and down stairways, pausing to toss fragmentation grenades into doors, stairwells, and vent pipes before entering. Blasts echo through the spaces and dust fills the view. Several dead Russian soldiers are visible in the footage, and the scenes are graphic. Footage shows a Russian trench taking a direct hit from an FPV kamikaze drone, causing multiple casualties. Just before the detonation, a Russian rifleman fires at the drone but fails to stop it. The device continues straight into the position and explodes. Figures in the trench go down as the frame shakes and smoke fills the view. According to the source, the drone operation is carried out by the Ukrainian 47th Mechanized Brigade. That's today's raw footage. No effects, no spin. This is M6 Archive, first on the front line. Subscribe, comment, and share if you want more.